What's up guys, David Land here bringing you another diecast review, this time on an Indy Racing League 1/18 scale diecast from Minichamps. This is Richie Hearn's 1995 Reynard Ford Cosworth, shod by Goodyear tires. This was one of three 1/18 scale cars Minichamps produced for the 1996 Indy Racing League season, the other two being Buzz Calkins' Reynard that he won at Walt Disney World, and the 1996 Indianapolis 500 winner Buddy Lazier, which is kind of my senpai diecast, my holy grail, if you will. Unfortunately, it'll set you back about $250 on eBay right now, and I simply cannot afford that, so I'll hold off on that for now. But this Richie Hearn car is a pretty good consolation prize. It's a fantastic looking diecast, and he was actually fairly successful in the 1996 IRL. Partially probably because he had what was the most up-to-date equipment in the IRL at that point, which was a 95 Reynard. That was kind of the reason why we have diecast from the 1996 IRL season and not some from the 1997 IRL season, was because the Indy Racing League for their first season used year-old kart equipment to kind of kickstart their racing series. So what you look at is what was state-of-the-art in 1995 and not state-of-the-art in 1996. But that didn't matter to the Indy Racing League. They wanted to, well, let's not get into politics. Let's take a look at the diecast. There's enough politics going on in this world. We don't need to add any more to it. A pretty interesting box. The car comes in like this little dinky plastic tray that you have to unscrew the car from. But at least it's a window box. You can see the Indy Racing League logo on there. And they kind of kept the motif going. Somebody paid at one point $27, and they had it up for $50 at Colorado Toys. I think that's what that says. I paid somewhere in between that for this car. But this is kind of a popular car with customizers because it's a Reynard. And it's not a particularly desirable Reynard, so a lot of people buy these to customize them. As you can see, Reynard 96 Road Course R. Hearn. Well, it's a 95 Reynard, and it's on a short oval configuration, but we'll let that slide. There's a little bit of stuff about the licensing with about Indy cars, and a lot of stuff in different languages. I'm not sure if this ever got out of the United States in terms of distribution. I'm sure there are some that have gone across the pond. But let's take this thing out of its box and take a look at it. I'm very excited for this. This is very nostalgic for me because as a kid, my dad actually worked in the IRL during the 96, 97, 98 seasons. So pretty nostalgic for me. So let's take a look at Richie Hearn's number 4. So here is the diecast in all its glory out of the box. Like I said, it was just 2 screws. It's pretty easy to get out. Fantastic looking car. I always say this. I always feel like I'm like, oh, this is a fantastic car. But this really is. I would say this is the same mold. If you remember my Max Pappas review, this is the same mold that car used. So it's on a short oval configuration, which is actually fairly accurate. 2 of the 3 1996 IRL races that counted for points for the 1996 championship, we'll get into details about that later, were on short ovals at Walt Disney World and Phoenix. So this is an accurate car for both Walt Disney World and Phoenix. The car actually did change slightly for the 1996 Indianapolis 500, and it was particularly here at the number. You can see on this car, you've got a big block letter number 4, and then for the Indianapolis 500 they moved to a italicized black number 4. Now why they did that I have no idea. But Richie Hearn actually participated not only in the first 2 IRL races, but actually 3 kart races throughout the season, and they were all the California races. I don't know if Della Penna Motorsports was based in California. I assume they were, or maybe Richie Hearn was a Californian driver, something like that. Some sort of Californian connection. Or maybe it was a sponsor. I'm pretty sure Food4Less is a California. That would make sense. But anyway, participated at Long Beach, Laguna Seca, and I think that was it. Maybe there wasn't another California. Maybe it was just 2 California races. But anyway, yeah, that's right, because Fontana was 97, but Hearn participated, whatever. Ignore my brain farts. But this car actually qualified on the pole at the IRL race in Phoenix. Now, he didn't win, but he did have a race win in 1996. It just didn't count for 1996 points. In 1990, 1996, the IRL had this idea that they would start doing football-style points where the season would end at the Indianapolis 500, which is in May. It would start in the middle of the summer, in like August or July. Now that only lasted for the 1996-1997 season, so the 1997 champion Tony Stewart earned points in both 1996 and 1997 to win the championship. Now what was interesting about that was the rules changed midway through. So these Reynards and such were outlawed by the time they got back to Walt Disney World for 1997. So teams like Della Penna, which is the team we're looking at right now, ran for the hills and went to kart because they had equipment that they could actually use in that series. Now, why that's important and why I bring it up is because Richie Hearn actually won the second race of the 1997 championship at Las Vegas, the inaugural, I think the very first race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He won it in this car, though it's not this specific car. I know somebody on Instagram, JJ Larson Harvick fan, called this car the Las Vegas inaugural race winner. While that's kind of correct, it's actually not true because this car doesn't have the right number font on it to be that car. As you can see, you've got some logos on this side of the car, but not on this side of the car. Now the reason for that is the onboard camera would be placed right here, and whenever they modeled this car, I'm not sure if it was for Disney World or for Phoenix. I think this is the Phoenix car because he qualified on the pole at Phoenix, so it would make sense that he would have an onboard camera. I haven't watched the IRL Phoenix race in quite a while from '96, so you'll have to take my word on it. But I think the onboard camera was mounted about here, so when you're looking at the field of vision, you would look just over the side pod, and then you would see those logos, which are Ralph's, Food4Less, Goodyear, and Ford Cosworth. Now, this is I love this diecast. Since I've been talking so much about Richie Hearn's racing, just the diecast is just fantastic. Now, I do have one problem with this mold they have for the 95 Reynard, which they actually used for mini Reynards later on. Is the rear wing is fairly small and fairly low. That's not even accurate for the short oval version of this car, so I'm not really sure why they did that. The actual rear wing on the 95 Reynard was much higher. Like it was about, say the top of the wing was like right about here rather than down here. I mean, that's a nitpick, but I like nitpicking on these diecast. But yeah, for sure, I'm 99.99% sure that this is as I drop it on the ground, I'm 99.99% sure that this is the Phoenix pole-sitting car, but, you know, whatever. This also can double, like I said, as a kart car from the 1996 two races in California way, or out California way, I should say. But really, really nice looking car. I'm very happy with it. Oh, this is something I always want to look at, and I always forget, and I look at it just later on, is Cockpit Detail. And I'm actually going to do a little no-no here and zoom in a bit while we are filming just to capture that cockpit detail, because it's something I never show off and I always forget to do. There's something on the steering wheel which I cannot read for the life of me. So if somebody can see that, let me know. But yeah, cockpit detail. That's something we just don't get in diecast anymore for anything. And then of course you've got the, well, let's see. As I move the wheel, yeah, a working suspension. The front wheels are independent. Actually, let me move that. So, or not independent, but they're attached to the front wheel. Now I gotta be careful because again, it's a 20-year-old diecast. Don't want to break it or something. But yeah, I am a big fan of this. Like I said, very nostalgic, despite the fact that I'm kind of a kart fanboy these days. Very nostalgic for the early days of the IRL. Obviously, this was the series, especially when they were running kart cars, that captured my attention as a young boy, and having my dad work in the IRL on a couple teams, that definitely kind of sparked my interest. But a fantastic diecast, very nostalgic. It's brand spanking new. Like, I don't think this thing's ever been out of the box prior to me owning it. So that's a major plus. I'm very happy to have it. It's just pristine. It's fantastic. and I love it. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube. If you enjoyed listening to me ramble about race cars for probably close to 10 minutes, you will definitely like this channel, and hit that subscribe button, also the like button if you did enjoy it, because I know I'm the only person who looks at 1996 IRL cars with any kind of nostalgia on any level on YouTube. I can guarantee you that. But thank you guys so much for watching. I always appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next video.